Hey, welcome into Dom Time. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'd love to get your calls for our guest, Pat Gillespie of the Building Trades Union, the Presidente in Philadelphia, and Matt Rooney, Save Jersey, both talking about this area, Philadelphia, all the time that I have of living memory being really the capital of labor. It's morphed into that because of guys like Pat and how well they've organized. Let's take some callers. Let's go to Steve in Morrisville. Steve, welcome to Dom Time. Thanks for being first in.
Thanks for taking my call.
Go ahead, Steve.
I was just to make a point. My family was always pro-union, came from steel mill towns and such. I took a job in painting that was not union. When the economy kind of tanked in '08, we all took huge pay cuts and lost benefits and such. And then now that the economy's turning around, there's nobody standing up for us to get what we were at least making before the economy crashed. And, that's why I'm pro-union, because we have no voice. And if you don't like the wage that you make, he'll just fire you and replace you with somebody else.
Yeah, what do you say to that, Matt? Particularly given the economy and tough economic times now, it's really a difficult thing if there's not somebody to back you. It's work at will or fire at will.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the much better thing to do is to focus on making people as productive as possible and getting the skills and the trainings they need, something that Democrats and Republicans talk about every time they run for office, so they can be ready to take advantage of the economy when it does shift. That's part of the reason why Philadelphia's renaissance has come about such more slowly than some of the other major cities in this country.
Why?
Because it was so overly reliant on manufacturing for such a long time. And you see this very acutely in Camden, on my side of the river, that finally when the economy shifted, these union-based collusions with government didn't prepare people for that change. So we need to move away from thinking of people collectively. We need to think about helping people like our caller.
Hey, Steve, do you have a response to Matt? Go right ahead.
Could I
go ahead.
Because this is typical. There's Steve, who's a painter, who's a skilled painter, and because he had to take a job, and he'll always be a painter, okay, because he has those skills. He learned those skills. And your recommendation to him is, be a better painter. He wants to be a better painter. Somebody's got to pay him better. All right, and that's the point.
But how does he get paid better? Does he get paid better when all additional regulations and taxes are imposed on him, so he can't make money for his family?
When all the painters
nobody can hire him to paint if they're all living down south
and say, this is what we're going to demand of you to pay us an hour. That's how it works. That's collective bargaining.
And what happens? You have to pay some painters that don't do nearly as good a job as he does the same rate. Also, people that paint as well as he don't get paid as much as they could.
Okay, all right, guys, thank you, Steve. Thanks very much. Let's talk about, Pat, what do you make of the fact that Philadelphia Magazine, some of these others are predicting things have changed a lot in Philadelphia. These brothers, these Pestronk brothers, I know you've worked with them.
You keep talking about it.
Right.
The place is open. No, it's not. It's like a year away.
All right, now for viewers, it's at 13th and Spring Garden. They used all kinds of tactics.
It's
a little bit down for 12. Okay, 12 and blind.
Yeah.
And they even had to pay $30,000 to sneak a crane in the back way to build an apartment complex.
I don't know about the antics. We were within our legal rights doing what we did, and we continue to do that. And hopefully these people will come around and give our members job opportunities. That's my hope for the Pestronks. They keep saying they're going to do that. I just hope they do it.
So they don't represent a new wave. They kind of broken through here, and they're going outside the boundaries.
A lot of people would like to cheer about that. So, yeah, sure, great. We pay New York wages, and we have to get Philadelphia prices. We can't nearly get, except that, Dominic. It's hard to rent an apartment in Philadelphia right now because the demand is so high. I mean, every other developer either has a Jaguar or a Mercedes-Benz. I don't see anybody having to go on food stamps in that world. But we're saying, what we want is a decent wage. That's what we want. Now, if we're not productive, fine.
Right.
The people I represent are the most productive workers in America.
Nobody's disagreeing.
Yes, they are.
Nobody's disagreeing, though, if we want to get people a good wage. It's how you get them a good wage. Do you get it with this centralized approach where we make it so that legally you got to pay everybody the same based off their seniority? Or do we do it by rewarding people that do a great job and allowing them to charge what they want.
In my experience, it always has proven that the productive workers are the guys who stay on the job the longest.
Okay.
In my world, the guys who are the most productive become the foreman, become the general foreman. Next thing you know, they're in business. Next thing you know, they're an owner. Okay, so that's been the progression. And you talk about training. Nobody spends more money than the building trades unions in training their employees.
All right, let's take
and
another caller, guys.
In advanced training.
Let me intervene with another caller. Chuck in Philadelphia is next. Chuck, you're with Pat Gillespie and Matt Rooney. Go right ahead.
Hey, good evening. Listen, I just heard somebody tell me how it could be productive or good for the country, and especially for the neighborhoods, if people are earning low wages, you know, paying a lot for their medical benefits, not having a pension. I just don't understand that from the perspective of the person who is Mr. Rooney and people who have his perspective. I don't see it, and I'm living it, and I see nothing but decline in the neighborhoods. Nothing, you know, the business communities. If I look out here on Frankfurt Avenue, stores closing up all the time. I just don't see how it's any good for the country.
Yeah, Matt, where would you point to where they don't have this, that people, where's the success?
Well, I think if you go and you look at the statistics we've seen over the past few years, even during the recession, right-to-work states are adding people to their employed economy.
Define
out
right
there
to work,
working.
what you mean by that for viewers.
Basically, what we do on a right-to-work state is we say, all right, in a particular industry, you can't be forced to join a union. You can't be forced to turn over part of your paycheck, your union dues,
to
an organization.
No, what it says.
Well, that's just the definition of what right to work is. You can't disagree with that.
No, I don't like your terms. Your terms are offensive, so change them.
I can't change reality, Pat.
No, but change your terms. Because you're acting as if somebody. Look, you don't have to join a union in Pennsylvania,
but you have to pay.
Work state. You have to pay for the representation that you get.
Something we can all agree in is, you know, the Republican
Just
Party.
change your
the
terms,
Republican Party has been out of power in Philadelphia, and how long? Labor and the Democrat Party have been in power for how long? That's the whole point of this show. So if that system is doing such a great job by Philadelphia, then why does Steve the painter and the current caller have such a hard time
better, the suburbs
right
or the
now?
city? Suburbs or city?
The
city's doing better?
Yes.
Mitt Romney's not the mayor of Philadelphia. No one that thinks anything like him has been around for a long time.
People are clamoring to move into the city.
Yes, they are. And a lot of the people that are moving into the city are young professionals. But we're not talking to young professionals. We're talking to middle-class guys that are having a hard time because of union rules and regulations and taxes. Their jobs are heading down south. And you can't argue with it.
Listen, the South is complaining that the jobs have headed somewhere else because unbridled capitalism is just
They're doing much better adding jobs in the South.
Not.
The only time they're having trouble in the South is when the federal government comes in and they try to
Parting
squeeze
area, guys,
out
and we have about a minute left. Last area, too, and I want Pat to give the line first here, and you may not get as much time. LCB, this is an example of the union thing. So tell us, alcohol is a poison, right?
Dominic,
Thank you. Got to say it on TV. Alcohol is a poison.
We should have a skull and crossbones on every damn bottle, all right? The damage that it causes the world.
Okay, that's why the unions are helping with parting on LCB. Matt, you have a comment? You're shocked, aren't you?
I don't know what I can add to that.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. Thanks so much tonight. Thanks to the callers here, too. We have a little bit of time coming up on Dom Time with Pat Gillespie, Matt Rooney. Thanks for joining us tonight. Hey, arguably the biggest story today, if you were in talk radio as I was Michael Douglas coming out and sort of spilling his guts. I mean, what kind of guy comes out in an interview with the Guardian newspaper and I believe blames his spouse for his cancer? At least he said that he's been told, or he believes he intuited, that a lifetime of smoking, drinking, and other activities did not cause severe throat cancer, that it was caused by oral sex. And as a result of this, we've seen a spasm today of people talking about a really serious issue, and that just the level of particularly people under 40 of STDs that are in this country. We plan to do a future show on this on Dom Time to talk about this. It is a serious subject. And couple of weeks ago, we did see Angelina Jolie, I think, beautifully handle a serious subject, talking about having a double mastectomy, talking about lowering her risk of cancer, life-threatening cancer. And yesterday, she looked pretty good at this first public appearance around it. Michael Douglas, not so good. Sometimes celebrities do call our attention to diseases. I'm thinking of Michael J. Fox and what he suffered. And other times, they just bollocks it up. And instead of taking a serious look at something that is affecting a lot of people, they just become self-absorbed. So we'll see if Michael Douglas recovers from it or not. But we do plan to talk about it. And also on tomorrow night's show, the U.S. Open is in town. We'll be talking golf. How big of a business is it? And are golfers really athletes? That's tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Thanks for watching Dom Giordano on Dom Time.